Welcome to my new categorizer design. This isn't it. This is actually Jonathan Peters' categorizer. I loved it for so long, and I still think it's really good early game. But I kind of wanted to show what spawned my old design, and then my new design as well. Uh, Plus, I wanted to benchmark what my old and new design do. So I needed his old design, and so I used Amulet. That I downloaded an app called Amulet that I found on Silent Whisper's YouTube channel. You see, I ripped it out of a world. There's even a water stream there, and brought it in because I didn't feel like rebuilding it. And do timings on it, and everything's all the numbers I end up running are based on a 27 long uh, categorizer with a overflow chest. And this is very compact and quaint, and cheap raw materials. So like I said earlier, game really good for building. Then this is my old design, also ripped from one of my worlds I played in. Converted it to 27 long with a overflow, and you know I don't regret making this as a stepping stone to what I have now, but ultimately there were just a lot of things I didn't like about this build eventually after using it for a while. So with Jonathan Peters' version and mine, using this style of categorizer with the hopper minecarts and whatnot, there are some downsides to them. So one, and the biggest one is the longer the sorter gets, the slower it is to even send items to the first chest, because the minecart has to go all the way down, all the way back, just to know where you need to send them. So I wanted to do something about that. With this one, I had two input chests that split, and then used some redstone to try and uh, to get it to split, and then use double hopper speed. I like the idea of double hopper speed, but the implementation just wasn't what I wanted. So I wanted to do something better with that. The reset timer. You see this long uh, uh, line of redstone with delay timers and everything based off of items coming through these hoppers down here. There's no variable to it. It doesn't matter if an item goes to that first chest or the last one, and the longer it gets, the longer the delay needs to be, and which makes it even worse for like items that go to the first chest. So because it doesn't vary based on where items are actually going, or whatever, and it has to do it that way for this particular design. That's something I wanted to come back, because it's very inefficient, as you'll see with the rates when I get to that. And then also with these two designs, with Jonathan Peters and mine, my old one, is they don't do well with less items. So if you're trying to sort one item, two items, there's a certain range at which it just doesn't do well. And I never really thought about it too much until I ran the numbers recently, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like actually pretty slow. But I figured the top end would make up for it, at least on this one. But I was actually I was actually wrong. You have to have a lot more than I thought you needed. And maybe it was with a smaller sorter. Maybe it was better then, but with a longer sorter, it got really inefficient real fast with this design. Um, and then there was no variable speed for one item. So if one item went through the input chest, it was going to take the same time basically as two items in that sense, because it had to go through. There was no way to make it faster with this design. So those are um, all my issues leading up to this new design. And here is the new sorter. Very proud of this. I've been obsessing over it for a while. Just the ideas of trying to fix those issues I just talked about, how to implement them, how to tweak them. The timings are ridiculous, trying to get them right. I was so frustrated at points. And then just trying to make it more compact, and because I know that's always going to be an issue, is how compact something is. And I get it, it's a large machine. This is currently a 45 column sorter, Now, I only made it 27 on the indexes with an overflow. The purple there is considered overflow for the sake of testing, just that, you know, apples to apples, 27 long. But I made it 45 to show that you can make it bigger. So the things that I think are important in a categorizer or a sorter is the speed at which it leaves the input chest is really big. That's probably, in my opinion, might be one of the most important. The speed the items reach the output chest. So if you have something that leaves an input chest really fast, but then it takes an eternity to get the output because it goes through, you know, 1,000 different items like hoppers, droppers, streams, whatever have you, that is a downside. Even though leaving the input chest fast is good, but you still want it to reach the output fast as well. Reliability is a big deal. Less mistakes or zero mistakes potentially. And I mean, pretty much every machine's going to break if you log off in the middle of it or leave the area. So, I mean, that's the same across the board. So there's no point in really bringing that up. But just the random breaking, I've, at least with this design, I've tested it through thousands of items and I haven't got it to break yet, different varying sizes. Now, when I was making it, and I would constantly break it from having timings wrong and stuff, but with the current iteration, it's doing very well. Uh, I would say number 4 would be how difficult it is to fix it if it breaks accidentally. So you do log off, you get disconnected. So then it's like, well, is it going to take you 2 hours to find items, fix it, whatever, or is it going to take you 5 minutes? Now, the bigger this machine gets, the harder it becomes because then you might check certain index, you might have to check more index chests or whatever, but there's really only so many places that items can be messed up. So, I mean, your output chest, your index chest, your minecarts, and your filters are basically it. So, like, once you check all those, it's very unlikely that the one item that goes through the dropper elevator back here would get caught in there randomly. Very, because the items don't go through a dropper elevator to make it into the line, which you could if you wanted to make your sorter lower, but it only sends one item through the dropper elevator per round, so that's very unlikely to happen. Another thing that's important, especially to me, is the ability to stop the sorter in the middle of it so that you can leave the area or log off or whatever. And so, like, how long do you have to wait after you shut it off? If you can even pause it, how long do you have to wait to shut it off after you shut it off before you can do those things? So, like, okay, yeah, you can pause it, but then now I have to wait 7 minutes or, you know, however long. So that being faster is always a perk. And so a lot of these things I tried to address in this machine. So the rates are down here for the different machines. I'll quickly go over this machine real fast as far as like how it's working generally. So that turns it on, and I'm just going to, I picked random items from it scales up. It starts with 1 and goes up by 2. And this is pretty much how I send items into the line, just by dropping them in here. They all come up here and collect. You can see the sorters going off already. The input from the water stream into the input chest needs to be at least double hopper speed. This is quad hopper speed. As you can see from the water stream, you got quad hopper, 2 separate chests, just for more input volume if you're dumping a bunch in there. And then you got quad hopper again down to your actual input chest. So you can see it's going to fill it up faster than it can pull it out. But when you see these 2 different sides blinking here, those are each separate filters. So when this side goes off, that's 1, that's hopper speed. When this side goes off, that's double hopper speed. And you can see the items making their way through the line. Because you have these modules, it's basically like a relay race with the minecarts. The minecarts just have to stay in front of the items, and then the minecarts find the location, and as the items just drift through the hoppers, eventually they get stopped by wherever the minecart triggers to find its spot. And I was just thinking there for a second, I did put items in there that aren't in there. They're just for the overflow. Yep, non-stairs are actual overflow. But the lights being off, that's the gap between items. So it's very tight on the modules between, you know, being too fast and going into a chest it doesn't belong into. And that's where a lot of the timing's trying to get things working. Now these lamps are not required. They're not a part of the build. It was for testing. So these comparators and the lamps are just for testing and to show off kind of where the items are in for showcasing it here. And we can look at, so all those items are already pulled down into the chest. You can kind of take a look at how fast these items are resetting and going right on to the next item. So once it hits like 6 items, it activates the second hopper, or filter rather, and does double hopper speed for as long as you have that item in the chest. So if you have 5 stacks of it, it's going to go through, you know, 4 stacks and about 58 at double hopper speed. And one of the biggest things that changed from this one is the variable reset timer. And this took a while for me to come up with. And I'm sure someone probably has something way more efficient than this. I had to try and figure out how to make a design that had a delay on the reset that was ample enough for a single item. Because I didn't want the single item to go too fast, because single items are a lot faster in this design. And because if this minecart goes too fast relative to this other minecart, then things get out of whack and you could break it and whatnot. So I want it to be slower when it's only one item, because only this side will activate if it's one item. And that's where this longer delay comes in. But the system doesn't actually reset till this line down here gets depowered right there. So I wanted a way to quickly depower the line. Because if you just leave it as is, you would have to wait that delay again before it reset again, making it very inefficient. But what I have currently is it breaks the power signal up in several locations so that these repeaters will depower in time before the next signal comes in. As well as whenever this filter is activated, it'll hold the signal on the reset in case you have a lot of items that are being sorted. You don't want it just like every time this activates to break the signal, because then it'll just reset even though you're in the currently in the middle of filtering your items out. So you want it to hold the signal, and then when it's done on this side, then it just resets the whole system. So yeah, it's gonna be very quick at how fast it resets between items, and you can tell just by these blinking. Watch for how little they're not blinking at all. So you can see the blink, blink, blink. And they stop. And it's blinking again. So it's just, there's very little downtime between items on there. So while these are going off, let's go over the rates. So I did tests at 1 item, 2, 8, 16, 32, 64. And I did 9 stacks of 64. So like, oh, just a lot of one item. And then the average time it took for 1 stack of 64 to reach the output. So one from like the first chest to the last chest, and an average amount to see what it takes. So the original Jonathan Peters categorizer, the little one I showed you, the one of each item, which is the worst, it took 11 minutes, which was 0.04 items per second. And my old one, it's even worse, 0.03 items per second at 14 minutes 45 seconds. And then Jonathan Peters, I don't have it in this video, but he had a hopper speed categorizer. I always struggled to build it, but it has its downsides. Speed-wise, on the low end, it's really good though, because it's pretty much a static 2.4 items per second. So for like lower stacks and stuff, it's hard to beat that because it's almost hopper speed. And so the new categorizer here that I'm showing off, 3 minutes and 20 seconds to do one of each item. So we got 27 and then an overflow. So 28 items. It took 3 minutes and 20 seconds as opposed to 11 minutes and 14 minutes and 45 seconds. 0.14 items per second. Still not crazy good or anything like that. 0.14 is still really slow relative to a hopper speed of this one, but it's, you know, one item. How often are you dropping one item in there? So 2 items, you know, you got 0.08 items a second, 0.06, and then 0.29. And then at 0.8 is where it starts to ramp up because that's when it starts, you know, you're now activating that second hopper. 0.3, 0.24, 1.16. Now you're approaching basically half of what the other one doing at 8 items. So a stack of 8 or higher, you're about half the speed of this really good categorizer here. And then once you get 16 items, 0.54, 0.45, and now you're over 2 items a second. And somewhere between 16 and 32, probably 25, you match the speed of this other categorizer. So if your average stack size is more than 25, the new categorizer will be faster because it has a higher top end. And so at, you know, 32.89, still not even doing one item a second. Like I said, this is kind of eye-opening. I thought I was doing an item a second on my old categorizers, but yeah, it was pretty low. And at 32, I'm doing 2.89 items a second. So it definitely eclipses at a half stack, you know, on that. Only took 5 minutes. 64 of an item, for each item rather. 1.31, 1.2, and 3.66 items per second. That's a stack, just a single stack. And then I did a test with 9 stacks of 64. And so the Jonathan Peters one did 2.22 items a second, almost hopper speed. It gets pretty close. 3.84. This is only one part where my old categorizer shined. 3.84, and then 4.8. It's just under double hopper speed. It'll just kind of get close, but never quite get there at the double hopper speed. But yeah, so it just scales up to that 5 items a second. Now for that other thing I said was important, the average time it takes for one stack of 64 to reach the output. That means the last item of the 64 is in the destination column. So the Jonathan Peters one took 48 seconds, my old design 42 seconds, 56 seconds for his new design. That's one of the bigger downsides for his categorizer on that side of it. Is it just takes, because it has to go through so many droppers and hoppers and stuff to get per column and per slice. So it just takes longer. And this new design here takes 30 seconds. And so despite the fact that things are even more spread out, it has a turn and everything, still only 30 seconds. So I pretty much everything except for the small amount of items, I feel like I just really can't improve on it much more than this. But you know, maybe someone will know how to make the redstone more efficient or what have you. Make it slightly faster, but I just don't see how to make something faster without breaking something else. But we'll go over that. Okay, we're going to start by making the first module. A little flooring here. This will be your ground level where your items are stored. And of course, you can make this as stack them as high as you want. I mean, if you want 12 high, I mean, that's up to you. But we're going to do 3 high for this. So something like that. And you're going to have 5 of them next to one another. These hoppers into the back of the chest. We're going to have double chest on top of there. I'm going to put hoppers into the back of that chest, and then on top, and then into hoppers. What that does is it allows us to have double hopper speed going down into this, kind of like a dump chest. For this column, because we bring items in at up to double hopper speed. So if you just had single hopper speed up here, it could clog up really fast if you send a lot of a particular item through. So you can put a chest on, double chest on top of these. Okay. Then you're going to put hopper aim into the back of them. And then for the hopper line, have them aim in this way, like that. So this top row is going to go this direction, and then the 5 below will aim into this chest. And you're going to put hoppers aiming into the top of this chest. Do it again into the top of the hoppers. And then over here, just use the blocks to position the hoppers. Like that. Now we're going to work on the redstone for it. So for this hopper, you want the block to be right there. 5 have a space. Another 5 beaters aiming at that hopper. I'm going to leave out, the comparators are going to go here, but I've learned doing similar builds to this that if I put the comparators there now, it'll be hard if you're not in creative to put the droppers in the proper way. So I think what I do is I put blocks right there temporarily. Then comparator, dropper, okay, dropper right there. And then you're going to want one to stand on. You would in survival, you would do something like this, right? And then you would take your droppers, aim them this way. I didn't learn that until I made my own build. I think I did this backwards actually. I did it backwards. I'm gonna want to and then you stand back here with the blocks I took off. Place the droppers into one another. It's easier on my old build. It was easier in creative, but I didn't realize it because I was aiming from below, and you could get the right angle if you're not standing, basically. And once I built in survival, I was like, oh man, like actually pretty difficult to aim those correctly. And you're gonna put comparators here. So comparators read a signal into the repeaters. Torch. This is where our minecart track's going to be. Okay. And then I have chest here. Here's your index chest. So 5, 1 for each column. And you're going to need, actually, once again, survival. Easier if you keep those blocks out first. Do the observers next. You're going to want to aim up. You want them all pointing down. Blocks. Now you can do the minecart track. You're going to want to get the railing out for that. Now this is kind of important. I'm not saying it can't work if you do it a different way, but we want to maximize speed, but only so much, because if it's too fast, the delays for unlocking a part up top might not be fast enough. It might break stuff. So I find so far that from testing that the 3 powered rails in the middle there are fine. Put a block here, redstone torches here, and on top of here as well. And then from those torches, you're going to put heaters on these hoppers. Put blocks on top of here. and on top of here. Then we're going to get glass. Torches on top of here. Yep. Okay. Redstone dust here. So glass there, dust, dust. Dust. Take hoppers now, top of the chest. From here, I'm gonna grab a block and power block. Go up by 2 with regular blocks. And then now you want glass, and you want a 2 by 2. And then you can also put some glass right there. So 2 glass from that last hopper, and you want a 2 by 2 of glass here. Chest. Chest into that block. Oops, double chest. Hopper. Into that chest. Hopper in the top. Then put a regular rail there. 2 powered rails. Regular, curve it. Now you can go to powered. Regular. Powered. Here. Put some glass. Block next to that. Glass here. Glass here. A block on top of that. And a block here. I'll put a torch here. Repeater. 1 tick. Dust, 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 dust. Make sure it connects. So we want this signal going all the way over to lock this hopper, and we want whatever this condition is, the opposite, to be here. I'll explain that in a little bit. And we want to put a single item. Doesn't really matter what it is. One in each of the droppers in a column. So 1 column, 2 column. So you don't want to put 1 here and then 1 here, just 1 for the pair. And we're going to put a line of redstone dust here. We can test it out with a button. There we go. Now you should see all of these are locked, preventing items. So if we toss a redstone down here, get it there. Same goes for this. Boom. Okay. And if we were to change this, one of the chests, it'll unlock that column. So you can see this repeaters are unlocked here. And what that also does is it gives us a redstone signal that locks this hopper, preventing the minecart from dropping any items into it, and unlocks the dropper line I'm about to add over here. Coming off of here, 2 going up, like that. We have a regular rail block. That's what is going to be powering this hopper. Because if we want to send items down the line, we want this hopper unlocked, and we don't want any items to go into that hopper, which goes into the sorted line, basically. Here. This would be for a regular module. have your chest like that. I think I'm not over enough. Yeah, I'm not over enough. You don't have to build this, I'm just doing it for scaling here. We'll have a block there. Block there. And there. There we go. Redstone dust there. When there's an item in there, it will power that that rail. Power. And then you would have an observer coming out of there. Heater 3 ticks. And then a dust there. So whenever it senses a change, it's gonna reset the system. So everything gets locked. Nothing in there currently. Okay. So put an item in there. It's gonna unlock that column. But if we get an item in here, it's gonna lock it back. And as I said, this will launch your minecart where you have it. Oh, forgot the stone torch right here to power that line right there. I believe that is the module done. This will be the end part of the previous module. Basically what you're seeing over here. You would see the going into the next one, you would see your observer and what have you, and you'd have your comparator here. Like so. But yeah, this would just be you know, one module complete. The good part about the sorter is you can expand it however you want. Now, depending on how you build it, you know, you just have a big old straight line with 50 in a row. You will have issues with timings that you might have to make small adjustments on. With what I normally do is with the hoppers between each module will be a gap of 2. Same over here. So, okay. So this would be your gap, and then your next line of chests would be right here in your next module. So what you can do is to, if you find that your loop moving down the line is moving faster than your minecarts are, you can do something like this. Like that. So this adds 2 extra hoppers in. It just lengthens the amount of things it has to go through before it makes it to the next destination. Gives you a little extra time if it's catching up too fast, because that can be a problem when it's just going so fast. For this next part, I did forget something for the modules themselves, because I wasn't planning on completing it as a regular module. You would take this line down here. Whoops, keep that in there. And you would have your rails there, and then destroy that little curve. and you want it to hit the block and drop straight down. So this is the finished module, but I'm going to be modifying this for the first one. Just use that for reference. Okay, 3, 4, 5. That. Okay. Down to 3. Do more this way. So 3, 3 up. So 2 going this way, and then 5 connect to there. I get on the corner. To regular there, and your starting position for your minecart. This is where your chest's gonna go. Pop her into there. Okay. Character. There's that. Just heater for tick. Bring this line over. It doesn't matter where for the most part, as long as you get the signal strength there, but you need 4 repeaters with 4 tick delay. So we'll change that to 4. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is important. It absolutely needs to be here because the signal strength for that comparator will not go past this for the most part. So you need to have a repeater to increase the signal strength. So this will be, so everything is reset off of the item drop into this chest. Grab the item. Of course, we don't have any filters in it, but oh yeah, I forgot the top. Alright, so the top. Line it up. Guardrails. As you can see, the 2 items I put in there, the glass and the redstone, it's putting it into the next chest for the next minecart to take care of. Now what I've done, you know, the other build is I'll get an item that specifically is named for this cart, just so if it breaks, I know exactly where to pinpoint the issue if one of the carts loses a filter. But you know, you can put a single item. I wouldn't necessarily put netherite swords in there, but so this is the first module. It's different than all the other ones because of it starting from the brain of the machine and all that to make it over to your modules. So starting off of your first module, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3. Oops, that's embarrassing. Okay, there were 3 there. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 3. So you got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3 into your first module there. And the one up here, we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on the bottom line here, double chest. Gonna have a hopper aiming into that chest, hopper into the top of that, and then we're gonna have a hopper aiming into that hopper as well. Sticky piston. Aiming into that hopper. Okay. Now we need to some glass. There, block on top. Aim hoppers into that. Get rid of that block. Do the same thing on the other side. These are like the same filters, but they're going to be mirrored, so they're going to be inverted a little bit. Block top. Oh. Okay. We'll work on this one. So that block 1, 2, 3, 4 out this way. Redstone repeater there, 1 tick. Dust, 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 dust. Temporary block. That. Come this way. Keep it around. Comparator. Dust, dust. There. Repeater there. One more block. Filled up. Up there. Dust. And a torch. On top of the torch. And then also to the side. Bring that over. Block right there. Excuse me. Dust, dust. All the way over here. And then you're going to put a torch here and a block on top to get the signal fast. That's your first filter done. And we're going to replicate that on the other side here. So below glass 1, 2, 3, 4. Dust, dust, dust. Heater. Temporary block. These locations. Comparator. Heater facing that way. Torch. Block on top. Block on the side. Bring the block over here. On top of the comparator. Dust it all the way back. Torch. And then block on the side. And then do this one. We're going to have a block here and a dust on top of that. Okay, and now we can work on the dropper elevator. So this hopper right here is going to aim into the first dropper. We can get our droppers out. And you want it to be on the side of that hopper. And then for the very top portion, just put a hopper into that hopper. So an item will go down, this will move over, then to back up to the next filter to activate that. It's kind of like priming a pump, so to speak. I put a block under there. Like this. Heater, dust, dust. Go put a block up there. Comparator. Whoops. Comparator. Block on top of the repeater. Put dust there. Torch on top of this. block there. Dust here. Torch there. And a block there. That's your dropper elevator. If we put there you go. Oh, that's right. I forgot to do the other parts of it. Alright, so observer. We're going to observer into that torch. Go ahead and grab that. At least we know the bottom part's working, right? Observer into that torch. We're going to build up blocks here. Another observer. Oops. Not my day today. Observer. Observer. You want them both facing this way. Aim an observer down at the torch. Okay. Now if we realize I can just go all the way to the end here. Yep. Okay. And then the initial input chest have on top there. Oh, I forgot something. Torch there, and a torch there. I was wondering why those pistons were draining down. So, almost put nether stars because I don't have anything renamed at the moment, but I'm gonna go 3, and then 19. And we're gonna go 3 as well, 19 there. Now when we put something in the top, nothing happens. Okay. Coming off of here, on a 2-tick repeater into a block there with a torch. Couple blocks there. Dust, dust, 1 tick, and then a 4-tick repeater. Okay. This is time to send the piston and to send the hopper over to the dropper elevator once a certain amount of items has gone through, specifically 2. So it's the speed varies based on how many items are coming through of a particular item. All right. Go ahead and put our comparator off of the back, on top of that hopper there, off the back of the chest. This is going to sense whether or not we have items in the chest. I go ahead and put it on 4 ticks. Not a big deal. It only matters when the machine first starts up. And have a block there with a torch. Okay. We're going to have a dust there. Another torch there. So when you get an item in here, you'll power up, depower that torch, depowers that dust, which then powers that torch. Important because we use this dust to keep the system from resetting or turning on. Got a switch for that. On the side of this torch, facing this way, the way it's facing, go ahead and put temporary blocks in there. Then you want to aim them together. is our memory for what state we're in, as far as we can start or begun already. Gonna put an item into here eventually. I don't know, it might be something that causes it to mess up. For now, we'll just leave it. Okay, block right there. Repeater. Going to get a block right there, block on top, block on the side, and dust. And on the side of the repeater, block, block, here. Comparator subtract mode, repeater 3 ticks, and dust. What this does is it converts this comparator will have a steady signal, but we want this steady signal to be cut off and basically turn into a pulse. So that's what this does. Pulse. You can see a little better, have dust there. So it's reset. There. However, this is a very weak signal. I'm going to get rid of that. Just put that block down here. Put the dust here. On either side of this, we're going to have a 1-tick repeater. Couple blocks here. I'll go ahead and put the dust already. And then we're going to have an observer aiming into that dust. So it senses the dust and it'll give a pulse to that torch there. And then off of that, variable A, 4-tick repeater, do a block, dust, another 4-tick repeater. So coming down here, do dust here. That, and 4 4-tick repeaters here. Okay, I can test it out by that's where the minecart's going to be. Level. Yep, there we go. Going to be down one. Okay, this is where your starting point for your minecart's going to be. Okay. That's, all right. And from here, watch your repeater. Step up that. Have dust there, repeater on 1 tick. Another block. Need to figure out where the crack is first. So we know this is at the top. Okay. And I need the detector rail. around here. Line it up. All the way back to here. Have a block to stop the minecart there. Go ahead and put redstone blocks. You don't have to use redstone, you can use torches, but just easier in a lot of cases. Regular rails in the corner. Definitely want maximum speed for this one. I don't remember having an issue with that. Oh, okay, yeah, I did. Oh. Check things out here. Alright. Okay, off of the detector rail, I'm going to want dropper facing each other. And also the one right here. A block right there. That's going to be used for resetting. I want a comparator, 2 blocks, 2 repeaters on 4 ticks into a block like that. Stone torch. Gotta be real careful in this area. Block there. Block. Repeater 1 tick. Repeater. Here. Stayed down here. Top. Back. There. So 1 tick, 1 tick, 1 tick. Got your dust. Torch under here. 2 4 ticks comparator. And then here, we're going to put dust here, here, and here. What this does is it locks this hopper. Also locks this other hopper, but that's downstream, it doesn't matter. And it also locks this hopper. So nothing empties it from the chest, and it holds the items here. Needed for a delay, and also to keep the item in the chest for the minecart to pass by and grab it. Because that's one of the issues when I was designing it and having the 2 filters. Because normally the minecart would go under the chest, and you know, you'd be fine. That's how you get it. But if they're both draining, I had to figure out a way to get the item to the minecart reliably. So when the minecart makes it by here, it'll shift the item that's in here over to here, and then it unlocks those hoppers and starts sending items down the line. And off of this block right here, 1, 2, 3, 3 repeaters on 4 ticks. And then we're going to connect this with glass. One, two, three, 4, 5. Oh, that's definitely not it. I got it wrong. Okay. Yep, okay. We can test that. Did get a signal, so also check your minecart launcher down there. Alright, so we got that resetting. Now the total system reset. Here, we have a torch. Three repeaters, 4 ticks. Dust. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Check that out. Comparator, 2 4-tick repeaters. Comparator, 2 4-tick repeaters. Comparator, 2 4-tick repeaters. One more comparator. Comparators need to be on subtract mode. 1, 2, 3. And then off of the comparators, run a couple blocks. One tick repeaters aiming into the comparators. So blocks in, dust. Blocks here, dust on top. Random blocks there. And off of this, I need a dust 4-tick repeater. Top of there, below, have a dust, repeater, 2-tick, another dust there as well. This is why we have the blocks up there to prevent the commingling of redstone there. One. 3-tick repeater. A block. That. Get rid of this dust. I want a comparator there. So that's going to extend the pulse from this. So if we were to test this out, signal gets there. We can also put a torch here to simulate a signal from the other side. So if we get rid of the signal from here, that fades out eventually and allows the signal from the other side to pick it up. The way this works is this filter starts up, and once that starts up, it sends the signal to start to reset the system, which will, let's go ahead before I get into explanation anymore. Let's go ahead and do that. 4 ticks repeater. Just over there. That's going to be dust. Then a block there, and a repeater there. So it's going to reset this one, and then it's going to flash the torch to restart the system. So when this filter starts working, this is a detection with a delay on it, because if it's only one item, we don't want it to reset it right away because it takes a while for it to work through the system and whatnot. and we don't want the minecart getting sent too fast. So that's what the delay is for. But we also, on a long delay, we want it to reset instantly. Now there might be a number of ways to do that, but this is just kind of what I came up with. So, it's like right now, if I take this torch away, look how long it takes to reset. And it's not the reset, the power that resets it. It's the power going off that resets it. You want to apply power to it and you want to keep it steady because you don't want it to blink or anything because that'll cause it to mess up. So you want it, you want the delay before it activates. Now, if it's only one item, you're only ever going to get power from this side. But if you get multiple items, you're going to get an item from this side and it's going to cause it to blink. And as soon as this applies power, it's going to deactivate this line, and it's doing it in chunks so that these repeaters can be without power in pairs, and they will reset a lot faster than a whole line of them. But it also holds power on the line, so that means if there's like a lot of items and both filters are going, then you don't want the system reset yet just because that you're sensing a signal from over there. You want to hold the signal, and so that when this one's eventually done, then the power will break, and then it'll reset. And the power's held long enough here so that you don't get like a stray signal going through there and cause it to reset in the middle of the next round. So we have power here, and then once this one's done and the next round starts, now you'll start to see the power from the next filter going. Hold the signal in, and then this filter kicks in. Okay, this filter's done. Now it's reset. That's how it works. Kind of checking over some stuff here. Trying to do most of this in one take. I always found it impressive if someone was able to do their whole build in one take and display their knowledge on it. And how many times I've had to rebuild this. Did not put an item down here. Okay, you're gonna want an item in here. Doesn't matter. And you're gonna want an item starting in this one. This one. One across from the torch. It's there. This is a if you unload the machine, you log off, whatever, and break it, this could be one of the things to check that would be the cause, is if there's an item in this one, because there's no redstone to reset it, so you just move that item over into this, and then it should work if that's your only issue. Yeah, right here. And don't want to use what your filter's using. Your chest. Let's go storage again. Like I said, I would get an item, rename it with an anvil to, like on the machine I have over there. This one's labeled as main cart, so I know that if I find that filter, I know where it goes to and how to pinpoint the problem. Then I just number them: cart 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this one. It. Well. Okay. Hoping I'm not missing something here. Let's put planks in there. So second column planks. What's forgetting something? We're gonna find out. Yep, I know what I forgot. Already know. So off of this line, right here. It's actually not right. Like that. We're gonna have redstone dust. Hmm. I think I know what I did. I think I made it over too close to the dropper, and I'm off by 1 block just in this section. Pretty sure. Let me double check. Pretty sure I just need a block on that dropper. Easy fix. Yep, right there. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Sorry about that. Put that there. There we go. That looks normal. I have your dust there. Now we're going to put a block there. It's all the same, it's just going to have a block there. It'll detect the dropper. Block on top of that. Dust. Track. Dust. Tick. Okay, and down here, then I have a block here. Dust, dust, dust. There. Heater 3 ticks. We're going to have a comparator there. I don't know how it broke, but let me just double check the stuff here. Yep, missing some filter material. This is good to show you how to troubleshoot this. There we go. I was missing 2 though. Well, it'll come out eventually. There. Yep. Okay. So we'll reset. That looks better. And we're getting, as you can see, double hopper speed going into that chest, single hopper speed going in down into your actual storage. You do have quite a bit of backup. You could, I guess, overload the system if you drop, I don't know, 4 or 5 chests of the same thing at one time. It might eventually get up there. I'm wondering where that... Oh, I checked the wrong one. That's what it was. Okay. Heck, this one's flipped. Alright, so that was the first test of it. Now, if we were to put, look at that oak again. Let's say put observer. We know that's not set up for a column, neither our chest. So this has no designation for it. So it should be put into this chest. Now the next one is the oak plank, which is designated for this chest. As you see, it's going into there. Once that's done, now the chest is going to go in. Should also appear here. Yep, there we go. Yeah, looking pretty good. Now there are some differences based on how you want to build it. So the design I showed over here, where you have the 45 chests from 9 different modules, the corners are going to be different. So whenever you want to do a turn, you would end it like you would a normal module, and then from there you go 3 with 2 regular, 1 powered rail there, and then you go over by 2, go up 2, and then 3 on top here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hopper into a chest, over to the block, 1, 2, go up 2 here, after you put a block there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, turn, and you want to end up over here for where it needs a reset. Now these hoppers right here, similar to what I showed at the end of the module over there, is to delay it. So the minecart after 3, it starts to, the items in the line start to catch up with the minecarts. So this is designed to give it a little more space by the time it works its way over here, because you want to keep the minecart just ahead of the item. So there's really no rhyme or reason how you have to do it. Just you basically want extra hoppers in line. So instead of going through 5, you want it to go through 8 or 9, however much you need to be efficient, where you want the items to arrive shortly after the minecart passes. You know, maybe be a couple hoppers behind. And then, you know, especially if its items are getting past the point where it needs to drop off into that column, then you just need to add some hoppers into the line. You can do it, the corners are good if you're turning every 3 like I did. Otherwise, you can do it in the gap here where there's the 2. Like I said, you know, you can go out 2 here, and then down here you can go out 2, or, you know, even over here. And so yeah, with that, this module that comes off of a turn, a little bit different on the starting. Everything else should be pretty much the same on the module, but the starting's a little different. So you can see chest, comparator, block, you got the dust down here, dust. Similar to the very first module, you want your 4-tick repeater here, dust over, 3-tick repeater, and then it just goes to your reset line here. For that. That's the only thing special about, like, once you're done with the turn. Because all this does is it brings the item that you're sorting over to this module, and for this to go over. This one has 3 powered rails here going in, and then only 2 in the middle. So that's a little bit different, just to try and control the speed so that it's going as fast as possible, but not too fast where this doesn't lock fast enough and then drops the item off downstream. That's pretty much the only other variant to it, because all the other modules are the same. It's just the turn and then the incoming from the turn are the only things that's going to be different. Oh, and the final one. The final one doesn't need any of the reset stuff. You don't need to know, because you're always going to drop it in the line. So you don't have to lock it, unlock it, whatever. So it just has to get up here. That's why it also has a bunch of powered rails, because it doesn't matter how fast it goes. It just goes as fast as it wants. And it will, you know, come up here, drop the item off, and then The overflow will be at the very end. So you want your extra row of chests beyond your last module. See? And you just have them aim. You don't. They don't have to aim down. You can have the top one aiming out for each. You know, this one and this one. You can have them aiming for future use, more modules if you want. Not again. But that's the difference with that one is it can just be fast. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to worry about that other stuff. For the on-off switch, you just want to have a signal go over to a torch tower. It gets a little complicated here. You got to watch out for some stuff. To a torch tower up to here. You have a torch underneath here. And then that's going to hold the signal with the repeater onto our reset torch for the dropper. That torch under here is going to light up that repeater and then hold the power on that block. And then it's going to, with a delay, it's going to hold the signal on the reset as well to make sure that you don't catch it at a bad time. And you come back and you can't turn it on because the item in the dropper's missing or it's in the wrong one. Then you're gonna do a torch tower over here, and you just need to put a signal on this redstone line up here. So when the machine is off, we have it flipped off down there. This will be powered, and then you'll have this line will stay powered from this block being. What this does is, and the same thing on the other side here. What this does is it pauses the filter mid-filter. So if you have like 20 stacks of something currently filtering, then it'll stop wherever it's at, and then it just takes the time it takes to go down the line to wherever it was going to go originally. And then after that, you can leave the area. So really quick pause as far as like how long you have to wait till you leave. I mean, best case scenario, you only wait a few seconds, and that's it. Worst case, you're waiting, I don't know, 30 something seconds. Doesn't take that long. The main thing though is you want a repeater with 4 ticks on both those legs. Reason being is you want to stop the sorter first, like prevent it from starting over with this one. You want this to happen first, pause it before you stop the filters from working. And that's essentially it for that though.